So we were talking about the basic fundamentals, right? Because people are very new also for the ASM. So I was trying to tell from the very scratch, very scratch. These are very I will say the building blocks. Okay, these are the building blocks. So the one who is learning about the ASM or about the application security, I will say the person should be aware about the web application involves various components. Usually these three components which are visible onto the screen: the web server, application server, and the database server. So I was talking about the client and I was talking about the server, right? When I was talking about the server, I using the HTTPS request or HTTP request. Sorry. So that I was talking about that if it is a static page, it was fulfilled by your web server only. So web server is the server that accept and fulfill the request from the clients for the static contents. Static contents like your HTML page, like your images, like your files, like your videos, just you are put over the website, and website handle that data and send to the client back. Then second is the application server. When application server come into the picture, then we can talk about, we are talking about the business logics. So if there are some kind of dynamic content which need to be generated, like your Facebook has your different profiles. Static page means one page for everybody, right? Like your banking has the different account number, right? Those kind of logics need to be, dynamic logics need to be introduced. Your web server is not sufficient to handle those kind of queries. And then it is a software framework that come into the picture, have their specialized functionality offered by your business service or application named as your application server. Okay, that is second entity of your application. And then, but obvious, if you are using the application, you are using the, maybe you are logging into the application. Simple example, login. You are putting the username, you are putting the password, and when you are just giving these kind of data, that data need to be stored somewhere, and that will get stored into your third component named as database server. Now, why I was talking about these components? And the reason is attack can happen over here, attack can happen over here, attack can happen over here. Usually, when I take interview and I talk about the injection attack, people will say, yes, SQL injection. I was talking about the injections, but they are talking about SQL injection. And why? Because SQL injection is so common, so maybe everybody is aware about SQL injection, that there is an attack named as SQL injection. It's not only the SQL injection. SQL injection is a part of the injection attacks. It can be Java insertion attack, injection attack. It can be PHP injection attack. It can be n number of languages are there. The injection attack can be happen at any sort of time. Why SQL people used to aware about? Because it was exposed a lot. Okay, and usually people are aware about SQL injection. So SQL injection is nothing, the attack that is happening onto your database server. So each and every component of your application is vulnerable, and those mitigations you need to be provided by your security policy. Okay, we will be gonna talk about the security policy in a great extent through the practical. Don't worry, but just I am giving you the overview today. Okay. Okay. So again, these today class probably I will say more for the beginners. If I'm talking about why ASM required, a very generic term, why ASM is required, then yes, for the layer 7 protection, maintaining the compliances, and we have couple of the pre-built policies. When I will be coming to the policies, probably you guys will be able to understand that what are the type of policies. Okay, in those policies, couple of the predefined, I would say, the applications, if we have those applications, like we need not to learn the how would I would say, the items and the entities for those, application. We need not to learn from the scratch, but already there is a database available for those well-known application. I would be going to show you later on into our classes, don't worry. But that is what we are talking about, that it comes up with the pre-built policies. Okay, so layer 7 protection only, please be mindful, it is only layer 7. If you are not applying the HTTP, as I was talking about earlier, if you are not applying the HTTP profile, even the security option will not be shown to you. Again, and a good question about if you want to test the knowledge of a candidate, that okay, I cannot see the security option. What could be the reason? And the answer what we are looking for is that either the person has ever applied the security policy or no. If he or she has ever applied the security policy, they should be aware about that we should be having the HTTP profile in our virtual server. That is must. Okay. And talking about the compliances, again, you guys should be aware about a couple of the compliances very well known, like your HIP, HIPAA, HIPAA, okay, and your PCI-DCS. These are the two compliances, very well-known compliances. One for the health industry, one for your credit card industry. I would say the payment card industry. Okay, that maintain some kind of data to be safeguarded, like your credit card data. It should not be stored even on your application in the plain text. It should be visible as a star. Even when you want a statement from your bank, your account number is not fully visible. Couple of the digits are there in the plain text, and then couple of the digits are like star, star, star. Even about your credit card number, it is star, star, star. So that is very useful. If there is some kind of attack is happening, some kind of data stealing is happening, probably it can save us from the very big disaster. So that kind of stuff need to be regulated by these kind of bodies. Okay, so these are your regulatory bodies. So these compliance are easy to maintain by your F5 ASM boxes. Then you can generate couple of the charts also, statics also, as per the different traffic pattern, different maybe the like attacks are happening, that can be get checked easily through your ASM box. Okay. How Google works? Very basic question. Probably you guys have, heard in lot of interviews, if I'm not wrong. Everybody is the senior guy over here, if I'm not wrong. So you might have heard such kind of question in your times, like whenever you are going for the interview, right? So how Google works? If I will ask this question, anybody would like to please give me the answer? Probably it depend upon any of the application. I'm just talking about Google. Anyone? So this is again a basic fundamental useful for troubleshooting also. Probably might be troubleshooting can be started from there. Like if a single client having a problem and he or she is saying that no, I cannot access the web server. As an ASM guy, I should be very much aware that if it is a single client problem, it's not our problem. And the reason why? It can be a problem with the person DNS. Every machine has a DNS. Even the window machine also have the DNS, right? So let me probably open my command prompt. Let me show you. Like IP config, this DNS. You see, there are a lot of DNS requests which is cast by even the Windows machine. So every machine has the DNS entry, and this can be a local DNS or probably the regional DNS or the global DNS, depending upon the environment. But the DNS should be working. That is first thing. Then second thing, coming to the picture, like first thing is your DNS role. So one should be aware about the DNS part. Second thing, if it is one site problem, that one site is not able to reach to a specific application, probably the regional DNS is not working. Maybe the request is hitting to the F5 ASM or no. Probably not ASM, I would say to the LTM or not. LTM or no. How we can check? Anybody? Anybody? Request is reaching to me or no? How I can check?
You can take a capture on the LTM and from the client IP and see if it's hitting.
We can take the capture. We can take the what to say, session table. We can check the connection table. Connection table. Okay, and then we can check probably if everybody has the problem. We can check the statistics. Virtual server. Lot of ways are there. Okay, so these are your troubleshooting approaches which need to be set off when it will come to the troubleshooting part. And in F5 ASM box, there is something known as event logs. Probably those who are working, they can relate. Those who are not aware about it, it's all right. We will come to that part later on. But just I am talking about here because we are talking about the troubleshooting thing. In event logs, we can check that particular site is even reaching to the F5 ASM box or not. If it is not reaching, probably we need to involve the firewall. Either it is Polo, Alto, Checkpoint, whatever. Even if they are not receiving, let's move before that. Routing team. Are you getting this thing or not? Maybe better if we can say to the client, provide the trace where it is getting stopped. If it is getting stopped on the firewall, then we will go to the firewall and we will ask them. It's in your court now. Ball is in your court. See it. Okay. Till so far, I am not able to receive the traffic. I cannot see what is the problem. So that is what your troubleshooting should be working. Then what I talked about is I talked about the different status code. So if there are different status code which are coming like 404, it is the client. Client probably is not using the correct URI. Check out the client. Okay. And there are lot of other tools. Okay. As I was telling you, Norman, like not server. What was that? Developer 2. Then probably we can capture the Wireshark. Okay, like we can have the start the captures and analyze it into the Wireshark. Then probably we can use a tool, free tool in the lab like Fiddler. So Fiddler is again a full proxy that we will be going to use into our environment to expose some of the vulnerabilities and to see how those vulnerabilities can be mitigated. So end-to-end routing and switching, everything to be checked. Why I ask this question is because a couple of you were talking about the troubleshooting. So troubleshooting will start itself from the layer 1 to the layer 7. Okay, not directly to the layer 7. The routing part need to be checked. VLAN part should be checked. Either it should be the problem of specific VLAN or what. Okay. Switching part should be checked. If the one switch is having the exhausting of the memory, CPU utilization, probably blah blah blah, any of the part. Okay, maybe n number of things are there which needs to be checked. Only if the traffic is reaching to us, we need to see that okay, traffic is coming to me. Okay, traffic is coming to me. My virtual server is down. If my virtual server is down means I need to check the application server, but obvious. My pool member is up or no? If my pool member is itself is down, it means again not my problem. I need to check with the application team directly. So when it comes to us as in troubleshooting, we need to think from the packet level rather than get a panic. Okay, we need to see it from the packet level first. Okay. Lab part. Lab is very important. So let me show you the lab. Okay. So guys, we have a couple of the components in our lab. Like this machine is the PHP auction website where we would be doing a lot of attacks. This machine is having DVWA website. Again, we will be pushing some of the attacks over there. I would try to show you a couple of the attacks like onto this vulnerable application or on this application, depending upon the nature of the application, how and where we need to show you that. So we will be putting those kind of attacks on these applications. But the thing to take care is, I hope you should be aware about the F5. Maybe let me just show you. Open my. Okay. Whenever we are provisioning any of the F5, but obvious we provision it in a cluster, either the prod, either the test, depending upon how many cluster, how many packet, what kind of appliance it is, or what kind of capabilities we require. Then whatever traffic coming from external side, it will hit on which VLAN? Anybody? Is external. In the external VLAN, we need to assign couple of the ports. In F5, it is 1.1, 1.2, 2.1, 2.2, bit like that kind of thing. In my lab, I have only single unit, first of all. So HA part, HA VLAN is missing because I don't want to show you the HA thing. I don't want to show you how high availability works, but I want to show you the mitigation of the vulnerabilities. So in our lab, we will be having an F5, which is LTM plus ASM both, acting as both. Okay. There is a VLAN for the external user. There is a VLAN which is going to the vulnerable site, DVWA, and this is PHP option. And then there is a VLAN for management. This is representing a LAN. This is representing a LAN. This is my logical diagram. Please, anybody has any doubt, ask me for this logical diagram.
Virtual servers will be on external virtual server IP.
Because your voice is very less.
Your virtual servers will be on external part, IPs of virtual server.
That is true. That is true. That is true. The virtual server would be from this VLAN. Anybody else has any problem with the logical diagram? No? Good. Now let's come over here. If you see, although the physical entities, you could see there is PHP option, there is DVWA, there is big IP, there is a LAN, there is a window machine. I can see these two are for the internet connectivity. That's all. This machine will be acting our management PC and external user both. So any of the management, probably if I need to take the management of PHP option, I can take from here. Let me just show you quickly. Remember the IPs, so probably I can open directly, but I will show you the workbook, how you can follow those workbook and you can have your own lab, because lab need to be done by everybody. Okay, lab need to be configured by everybody. Okay, individually. So you can see that I have this VLAN is from the internal range. I just opened it. What is the IP of TVWA? 51 million. Okay, that is down. Yeah. Oh, I didn't make it up. It's all right. So that is how internal management can be taken out from the management, or internal VLAN is the same. External user is this. Now, if I need to expose the vulnerabilities, I cannot go directly. I need to mitigate it as an external user. It should go to the F5 unit. And F5 from the internal VLAN should go to the pool member. And the pool member would be your PHP auction website and your DVWA. For the sake of same, I created two virtual servers. One virtual server for PHP auction, one virtual server for DVWA. This DMG zone is nothing, but it is a switch. On the switch, I created the layer 3 VLAN. Before discussing this, I just wanted to understand if anyone from the audience has maybe less knowledge about the networking part, then I would, explain about the workbook in detail. Otherwise, I will be gonna provide you these workbooks to you, all of you, and tomorrow you can just come up with any of the doubts probably. Okay. I think everybody is understanding about these terms, VLAN, SVIs, everybody. So I am creating layer 2 VLANs over there, and I am creating the SVI over there. So every gateway is my switch. Every gateway is my switch. Bit like this. Okay. Only for the external and internal. Rest gateway is this. For the internal over this side. So that is how I am creating the lab. These are the lab components. I am just talking about a very logical overview. I am not talking about any of the configuration. I will be going to talk about the configuration probably today or tomorrow. But for a logical overview or logical understanding, is there any doubt to anyone? Please ask. Okay. I'm treating your silence as no.
These two virtual, sorry. These two virtual servers, these two actually the real servers, they are based on some, what are their purpose or what are their roles or what is hosted on them?
These are the vulnerable websites.
Vulnerable websites. Okay. So,
We will be exposing the attacks over here.
okay.
And then we will apply the policy.
Policy. So we will
And
have like
when
different kind of.
we apply the policy, the F5 ASM should not send those vulnerable data on the website, but show the support ID.
Okay. Okay. So
that is
the
what
like.
the purpose is.
Oh, okay, I got it. Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Anybody else has any doubt?
You use DMG word here to specific reason because it's used for firewall.
Speak a little bit louder, Sachin.
Yeah, you use DMG zone, the naming convention DMG zone. So any specific reason?
Somehow, when there is a crown jewels application, there are multiple layer of protection is there, not only ASM, like your IPS, IDS, server solution for your DOS, DDoS, maybe Imperva layer also. Imperva. Then your different VLANs come into the picture, VLAN segregation. Then layer 4 firewalls, probably there come the DMG part, and at the last there is ASM. Just to simulate those stuff, I'm writing down over here the DMG zone. Okay, but we are not considering about these particular fundamentals. We just need to check about the ASM part, and that is the reason we are just checking the ASM part over here. Okay. I hope no other questions from anybody. Let's move ahead. So that is your logical overview about the lab, how lab will work, and how we can utilize our lab for end-to-end communications, and how we can utilize our lab to exposing the attacks and mitigating those attacks. Then I just wanted to check from you guys about the LTP. Can anybody let me know what is LTP?
What are the traffic? How to move that? How to play with
This is
the
what are
traffic?
not able, not able to catch properly.
Sorry.
Maybe one time more. What saying about the policies? What? Maybe the mic issues or something. Anybody else would like to talk about LTPs? Someone was saying about the
It's the
iRules.
policy of like a virtual server, like you create a policy and like do you want to distribute your traffic among the servers. So you create rules for that policy, match some condition, and take some action.
Right. True. True. True.
So
Now,
iRule is one of the thing. Other is like normal policy you can also create.
I can say that iRule is CLI based and LTP is your GUI based.
GUI based. Yeah.
The one major difference, right? But obvious, it cannot beat the iRule completely. Okay, I cannot say that it is beating the iRule completely, but most of the stuff can be taken care by the LTP. So it is bit like the GUI version of the iRule. Now, why I am talking about LTP over here? And the reason is when you apply to the security policy on the virtual server, by default, a LTP gets configured. What this LTP will say? This LTP will say any of the client traffic, if it is coming to my virtual server, it should go via security policy. This traffic should go via security policy. If security policy is showing the green flag, then this traffic will be forwarded to the server. Otherwise, no. Otherwise, a support ID will be generated. This LTP, you need not to apply manually. This is automatic thing. Automatically it will get applicable. I would show you about this. I would show you about this tomorrow probably, where when I will apply a security policy just for the sake of, like demo, I would show you to apply a security policy, and I will show you that after applying the security policy, the LTP will get created automatically. Why I'm telling about it? You need not to, please do not touch this local traffic policy which is generated automatically. If you will touch it, your security policy can misbehave. Probably it can be removed from your, if you're removing the LTP, it can be removed from your virtual server. So that is the reason I need to talk about the LTP part. Okay, by the way, anybody over here who has not used ever the LTP in your environment? Everyone is using it, huh?
Not sure. I haven't.
It's all right. I will talk about the LTP then. I will show you the maybe demo.
I just apply 2 weeks back policies of in the LTM, and near about 8 policies I created for the 8 policies with 8 different URLs with 8 different ports. So whatever the traffic which is coming from the outside, it hitting to the virtual server. The virtual server have the all URL single one virtual server, and then hitting to the policy based on the created rule to forward this traffic based on the URL and then port.
Virtual server has different URLs, you mean?
This virtual server, I use single one virtual server, and
Okay.
I created 8 policies with different URLs with different ports. So the traffic which is coming from the outside, they will hit to the public IP to public IP addresses is binding with the one virtual server, and that virtual server, for example, I'm coming from abc.com. It will be hit the same virtual server to go to the abc.com with port 6102. I'm coming again with xyz.com. It will be hit with the same virtual server and go to the xyz.com with port 3001.
What is the requirement that we need to provide different hosts with the same IP?
What is the requirement? Because first of
The
all,
use case?
I'm saving. Yeah, first of all, I'm saving the public IP addresses. I'm using for the single one public IP addresses. I'm using single one virtual server with the different URLs, and thus I'm creating for the nodes whatever the behind in the servers, or whatever the behind in the backend servers.
You mean to say XYZ has different tool and ABC has different tool.
Yes.
And using LTP, you are just matching these two criteria and sending over there and over there, depending upon the URL and ports, right?
Yes, exactly. I did the same thing for the 8 different URLs and using the single one virtual server IP.
Okay, got it. Quite possible, but I don't know how optimized it is. But it's all right. As per the designing, maybe. But yeah, as per the working, it will work for sure.
Means the purpose of the traffic means whatever the traffic which is forwarding the traffic, the policy has been created based on the URLs.
Right.
So I defined the URLs there with the port number in the policy itself.
And are you securing it? with the ASM?
Basically, no, I'm just applying for the listening mode. WAF,
I mean transparent mode.
transparent mode, yes.
Now let me ask you a question. If you have different applications, okay, and you are applying one security policy,
Yes.
wouldn't be an issue?
No, there is no issue.
Why?
What kind of the issues? What you are expecting the issues will become?
Security policy will not be the robust application security policy. And the reason why, let us say there is 10 file types in your abc.com that should be allowed. In my security policy, ideally, only these 10 files need to be allowed. Let us say XYZ is using more 100 file types, which is need to be allowed to get it work properly. In your security policy, if you go for the abc.com only, so it should be 10, but in XYZ it is 100 more, so you need to just use XYZ also, and bit like the same different policies. So probably when you need to get it block, now if you are putting a block and if there is some kind of issue in your security policy, all of the 10 application managers will get impacted in one go.
Agree. Yes, yes. Got it. Got it. Exactly.
Well, since
So maybe
servers are
that is the
different,
reason why I was saying with respect to the design perspective, we need to check. But yeah, with respect to the working, it will work. That is for sure, but not optimized. Yes, we can.
Yeah, I agree. Means once we will go for the blocking the traffic, then it will be the impact for all as well. If we have to, blocking something in the WAF. But however, I'm uploading the certificate in the F5, and the rest of the thing.
Let me check one more thing. What if you need to apply an iRule? Okay.
Basically,
So
we have the.
then you need
It will
to
be more easy.
go. Okay, maybe with respect to design, you can say if
there are multiple challenges I
basically-
see with it. Applying
Yeah,
policy,
Vikas?
optimizing. Yeah, I see multiple challenges with this design. So iRule you have to make for all the 8 servers in single iRule.
separately, because if there is some kind of common iRule, then yes, what Norman is saying that in one go I can achieve it on all of the 10 URLs. But if it is a separate kind of stuff for all of the 10 URLs, probably we need to be very cautious. We need to be very cautious.
Exactly. And SSL offloading will be a challenge. Either they have to add like SAN with all those things.
That is what they are using. They are using SAN. Only one single, Norman, right? One single cert you are using.
Yes, one single.
Maybe the SAN they are using.
Yeah, one single. That's why it means applicable for all.
Norman, for my understanding, why you need different ports?
Because this is the basically backend server is required for the completely different application. Totally.
Okay, these applications are on same server.
No, not same. Of course, different servers.
Then you don't need port also. So everything can work on HTTPS.
No. I'm coming with the HTTPS from the outside, and then from
That's
the
all right. That's all right.
F5,
Maybe
yes.
you can use in that case you can use the host name.
Yes,
On the
exactly.
basis of host name, you can segregate the traffic. That is what Vikas is
Segregation,
saying.
correct. But the whole traffic is coming with the HTTPS, and then redirecting the traffic based on the URL with the different ports by the F5.
Okay. It's all right. Okay, let me check now what's left. Is there anything today? No. So let me talk about the LTP.
There is one question a little bit. You are recommended for the iRule?
Voice is less. Who recommend?
I'm asking from you.
No. Can you repeat again question?
For in this scenario, are you recommended for the iRule better than the policy?
Yes, iRule has the more granularity rather than the policies.
Yes, I agree totally, but we have some security concerns.
Depending upon scenario to scenario. That is what I cannot talk about your running environment. But yes, for sure, if you can write the rules, probably that have a more like options to use a lot of other features in later on sections.
Okay.
Okay. So what I was talking about the LTP, that whenever now there would be any request come, the virtual server will check either there is a layer 7 security policies or no. And who is talking about that? If there is a security policy, if security policy is enabled, if this request is valid request, it will send to the default pool. If it is not valid request, a violation will be generated, and that violation has some kind of numbers like 1, 2, 3, XXXXX. I would be showing you later on. That is nothing but named as support ID. So this support ID, people will come to you that my application is showing this support ID. Now mitigate this. So we need to check either it is a disk or no. Let us say your application is coming up a support ID which is showing the SQL injection. Please do remember, you cannot say to the application team that it is SQL injection and I am not gonna unblock it. But you need to take their consent that okay, might be the SQL query what you are running into your environment, probably it is the requirement of the application. If it is an application requirement, you just give us your consent over the email and open a maybe any of the requests, service request or the incident, whatever is going on into your environment. And on the basis of that, you can open probably change request, and on the basis of that, you can open this kind of stuff also. So please do remember, if there is something which is blocking over here, it is getting blocked because the attack signatures is bit like your ACL. And since that pattern is getting matched, we are having the support ID, but we cannot ever say to the application team that no, we cannot unblock. If it is the requirement of application team, they need to provide the consent, and after their consent, we have to unblock it. Ultimately, it is a business, and business should not be impacted ever. Okay, so that is one thing. Okay, guys, probably maybe we can wrap it up for today, and tomorrow we would be starting from next of the topics. Okay, anything else anybody would like to ask or speak? One thing maybe I want to tell you one more thing. Any of this video, whatever we are talking about, will get recorded and it will be get uploaded on the NetMinion portal. Okay, that portal can be accessed through your maybe browser, I will say, or through your mobiles. Either it is Android, either it is Apple. So probably how to access this portal, from where you can get the videos, all of these questions would be answered by Zoya. Okay, every one of you are aware about her, so you can just please be in touch with her and she will let you know how to have the access of the video later on, probably before next class. Okay, we will be providing you the lab access also. Okay, so please be in touch with her, and before our next class, these two things, maybe before next Saturday, I would say. Okay, you should be have these two things: lab access and the videos. Okay, any question?
Lab
Yes, Kiran.
access will be given by Zoya later on.
It is 11 p.m. currently in India. Those who are not from the India, just FYI. So she is in off shift now. Probably tomorrow you can contact with her, and she will be providing you both of these.
That's fine.
Okay, and will you provide us the notes as well, like whatever being discussed?
Notes, maybe everything is getting captured by videos. Okay, if there is something, probably you can check from there. And if you are talking about these slides, so slides are only for the maybe one class or two class, generally for the making the foundation. The rest of the classes would be on the whiteboard only. Okay, so I would say you just try to catch it from the videos.
Yeah, but like if you can make some brief notes, that will be helpful for revision, because getting like watching the videos every time isn't a best thing.
Notes in what form? Maybe I am not able to catch you.
I'm saying like if you can prepare some brief notes about the ASM classes that we will going to study, so in future when we will
Okay,
revise it,
okay.
we
No,
don't
no,
have
don't
to.
worry. That I will. I understand. That I will give you the some of the books. Okay, probably you can just have a look into those books then. Okay.
Okay. Regarding cookies, like can you talk a bit more, like what components it contains, like the session ID and what else it contains?
What are you looking exactly in the cookies?
Like cookies contain some information, so what are those kind of information it
There can
contains?
be n number of information in the cookies actually. Okay. Like you are talking about session ID, yes, session ID cookie can be there. Okay, there can be, if you are talking about the persistence, like Tim was talking about the persistence, right? So in the persistence, even your pool member information is also there. Okay, the expiry information and the lot of other information would be available in the cookies. But why you are looking for the cookies information? Is there some kind of maybe uh, like case that appears to you? If it is, please share with us. Probably it would be useful for everybody.
So like I'm just saying, like if like we use persistence, so persistence has many ways. Like we can do a source based persistence, a destination based persistence, a cookie based persistence. There are many ways to do that. So like if you are you if you want to send something to a specific server only from a specific client, and you are using cookies, so what happens is like your F5 maintains a session ID of your client and the server. So whenever the client is hitting the F5, it checks the session ID. The session ID will have the client IP, and it will send it to the same destination server. So will that session ID
Not
remains
even,
intact
not
every
only,
time?
not, no, 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 wait. You are mistaken. You are mistaken here. Let me tell again.
Yes, so that's why I'm was asking you to, if you can explain a bit
No, no,
more about that.
wait. Let me. So what you are talking about, the traffic flow, that traffic flow is very much okay for the source based, but not for the cookies based. Cookies based, I am just maybe talking about the default cookie. Again, cookie based can be there 3 or 4 methods. I'm not going to talk about all of the methods. I'm just talking about the cookie insert method. So if F5 is having the cookie insert method, let us say this request is fulfilled by the server end and it is getting back. F5 will set a cookie, and inside into that cookie, there is a pool member information. F5 is not maintaining any kind of session. First thing, okay, it is not maintaining. Next time when it is going to the F5, F5 will open that cookie. On the basis of that cookie, it is aware that, okay, you need to go to this particular server. You cannot even able to check out that pool member information. That is in encrypted way. Okay, but yeah, cookie is nothing but a piece of data, as I told you, okay, which containing a lot of information, bit like this.
So the server is sending the cookie to the uh, web browser of the client, and
Do not get confused. F5 is sending.
okay, yeah, basically F5 is sending it to the web browser of the client, and the client will store it.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, and the session ID thing that I was saying, like it's applicable to the other persistence thing, not the cookie persistence. Is that what
What you were
you meant to
talking,
say?
that is 180 second. Remember the connection table by default 180 second. You can increase or decrease this time for sure, but by default it is 180 second. That is the connection table maintained by your F5. But in this case, no connection table at all. It is only cookie.
Is it 180 second? Like I'm not sure. The TCP time is 5 minutes, which is 300 second.
No. Maybe you need to purchase an F5 videos also.
No, no. Are you
F5
talking
also.
about the? Are you talking
I
about
am
the
talking about
TCP session
persistence
timeout?
table. I am talking about
Okay,
persistence table.
okay, so yeah, that might be 180 second. I don't remember the exact figure.
So
Yeah, I can take that. That's not an issue.